Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at AQA AS Psychology 2018 Paper 1 Examplar Answers for Attachment, which you need to know for AQA A-Level Psychology. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Please note that these answers have been produced with knowledge of the mark scheme but have not been approved by the mark scheme themselves. There are 3 assessment objectives, AOs, in psychology. In this video they are color-coded. AO1 Knowledge, purple. AO2 Application, blue. AO3 Evaluation, red and green. In AS there are 12 mark questions, instead of 16 mark questions. For the purpose of this video and to avoid confusion for A-Level, the 12 mark questions have been turned into 16 mark questions. Question 1. Which one of the descriptions below best describes an infant showing reciprocity? Shade 1 box only. 1 mark. A. A baby moves her head in time with her mother. B. A baby smiles and her mother smiles back. C. A mother moves her head in time with her baby. D. A mother smiles and her baby smiles back. D. A mother smiles and her baby smiles back. Question 2. Which one of the descriptions below best describes an infant showing interactional synchrony? Shade 1 box only. 1 mark. A. A baby moves her head in time with her mother. B. A baby smiles and her mother smiles back. C. A mother moves her head in time with her baby. D. A mother smiles and her baby smiles back. A. A baby moves her head in time with her mother. Question 3. Briefly outline the findings of one animal study of attachment and explain one criticism of the study. 4 marks. In Lorenz's 1935 gooseling study, he found that the incubator group followed Lorenz whereas the control group followed the mother goose. Birds who imprinted on humans would then later in life, once matured, only attempt to mate with humans. A limitation of Lorenz's study is that it is unethical. Some of the goslings in Lorenz's study were imprinted onto him. This is not natural, and Lorenz found that imprinting was irreversible and permanent once it had occurred. This means that the goslings were unable to develop probably and would have most likely found it hard to develop and form in the real world. This is a limitation because it suggests that the imprinting process in Lorenz's study, where goslings were imprinted onto him, was not natural and could have hindered the goslings' proper development, making it challenging for them to adapt and function effectively in the real world. 3 one-year-old girls were taken to nursery by their mothers. The girls each reacted differently towards their mothers as they left. Barbie ignored her mother. Ola appeared a little upset. Pippa did not want her mother to leave and was very upset. The girls also responded differently when the new nursery worker approached them. Barbie was not at all upset, Ola was moderately anxious but Pippa was very anxious. Question 4. With reference to the different attachment types seen in the strange situation, identify the most likely attachment type of Barbie, Ola, and Pippa. Use the information provided to help you. 3 marks. Barbie has an insecure avoidant, type A, attachment type. Ola has a secure, type B, attachment type. Pippa has an insecure resistant, type C, attachment type. Question 5. Briefly outline the behavior each girl is likely to display when her mother collects her from nursery. 3 marks. Barbie is not likely to approach her mother and is likely to ignore and avoid her mother. Ola is likely to greet her mother enthusiastically. Pippa is likely to seek and reject her mother and is likely to hold out her arms but may resist contact. Question 6. Discuss research into cultural variations in attachment. 16 marks. Cultural variations in attachment refer to the differences in attachment behaviors and styles observed among infants and their caregivers across different cultural contexts. Van Lissendoorn and Kronberg, 1988, animate to investigate whether attachment styles are universal across cultures or whether cultural conditions affect attachment styles. They conducted a meta-analysis and examined 1,990 strange situation classifications from 32 cross-cultural studies of attachment behavior between an infant and their mother across 8 different countries, where the strange situation had been used to classify infants as either secure, insecure avoidant, or insecure resistant. They found that secure attachment was the most common classification in all countries studied. The lowest percent of secure attachment was shown in China, and the highest in Great Britain. Insecure avoidant attachment was most common in Germany but rare in Israel and Japan. The variation within cultures was 1.5 times greater than the variation between cultures, e.g. 18 of the studies were from the USA. In one study only 46% were classified as securely attached compared to another study where 90% were classified as securely attached. The overall average findings were consistent with Ainsworth's original research: secure 65%, avoidant 21%, resistant 14%. Individualistic culture rates, e.g. Britain, Sweden, Holland, Germany, USA of insecure resistant attachment were similar to Ainsworth's original study, under 14%, but collectivist culture rates, e.g. China, Japan, Israel of insecure resistant attachment were not similar to Ainsworth's original study, above 25%. They concluded that secure attachment was a global pattern and not limited to just Western cultures such as the US. This could be seen to support the view that attachment was an innate biological process which aids healthy social and emotional development and survival, as it was evident across the globe. A strength of Van Lissendoorn and Kronenberg's meta-analysis is that it used a standardized procedure. All the infants' attachment behaviors were measured and analyzed in the same way, by using the strange situation. The strange situation follows a specific sequence of episodes designed to assess the attachment behavior of infants, involving a series of separations and reunions between the child and their caregiver, typically observed in a controlled environment. The procedure includes 8 episodes, each lasting about 3 minutes, where the child's reactions to the caregiver's departure and return are carefully observed and recorded. This is a strength because it suggests that the infant's attachment styles can be compared across different children and contexts, making it a reliable tool for studying attachment behaviors. A limitation of Van Lissendoorn and Kronenberg's meta-analysis is that it suffers from cultural bias by applying the strange situation procedure and behavioral categories. The strange situation procedure judges infants' behavior according to behavioral categories that were developed following observations of middle-class American infants. This means that when researchers interpret non-American infant behavior, it is being judged against an American standard, values and norms, e.g. an infant exploring the playroom by themselves would be classed as avoidant based on American standards but is valued as reflecting independence in Germany. This is a limitation because it suggests that attachment behaviors are being evaluated through a narrow lens that may not accurately reflect the values and norms of other cultures. By applying American standards to interpret behaviors in different cultural contexts, researchers risk overlooking the significance of those behaviors within their own cultural frameworks. This can lead to an incomplete understanding of attachment styles and potentially mislabeling infants' attachment behaviors, which undermines the universality of attachment theory. Takahashi, 1990, found that the proportion of infants classified as securely and insecurely attached in Japan was similar to other countries, but there were high rates of insecure resistant attachment, 32%, and no evidence of insecure avoidant attachment. Japanese infants also showed extreme anxiety when left alone. It was suggested that this was because mothers in Japan are rarely separated from their infants in early childhood. A strength of cross-cultural research into attachment is that it is supported by Bowlby's monotropic theory. Fox et al., 1977, examined infants raised on Israeli kibbutzim who were mostly cared for in communal children's homes by nurses. The strange situation was used to test attachment styles to study how the infants' relationships differed between their nurses and their actual mothers. They found that similar behaviors were expressed by infants towards both the nurse and mother, with the only difference being in reunion behavior towards their mothers, whom they showed a greater attachment towards. This implies that a primary attachment figure may exist even in shared care environments, suggesting attachment behavior was more universal as Bowlby proposed. This is a strength because it suggests that attachment behaviors can be consistent across different caregiving arrangements, reinforcing the idea that the need for a primary attachment figure is a fundamental aspect of human development. This supports Bowlby's monotropic theory, indicating that despite variations in cultural practices, the core principles of attachment remain universal, highlighting the adaptive nature of these behaviors in various environments. A limitation of cross-cultural research into attachment is that it breaks ethical guidelines. The infant's attachment types were measured using the strange situation. During the strange situation, the infants are purposefully placed in an unfamiliar setting, in order for the observers to measure their levels of separation and stranger anxiety. This intentionally caused emotional and psychological harm to the infants, as the harm caused to the infants during the procedure exceeded the emotional and psychological stress an infant would be exposed to in their day-to-day lives. Many of the infants had not been separated from their primary caregivers. The infant-alone step induced stress that the infants would not normally encounter, and therefore the infants were not protected from psychological harm. This is a limitation because it suggests that attachment theories, particularly those based on Western contexts, may not be universally applicable. It raises concerns about cultural bias, as the emotional and psychological experiences of infants can vary significantly across different cultures. This implies that researchers must be cautious in generalizing findings from one cultural group to another, as interpretations of attachment behaviors can differ widely, emphasizing the need for culturally sensitive methodologies in attachment research. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.